it does it does. The Dante project also has significant copper and platinum, small amount of palladium in the reefs. And when I first looked at these reefs, I, I thought of parallels between Dante and some of the South African deposits in the Bushveld complex and the Stellar complex, where good recoveries of base metals and platinum group metals, PGM values, can be achieved by fine grinding and froth flotation. The the test work we undertook was structured to first recover the sulfides with associated copper and platinum group metals, and then recover a vanadium concentrate. The vanadium occurs in solid solution in magnetite, so effectively one is recovering a magnetite concentrate with vanadium contained in it, and then to look at the titanium and comparing just the titanium to iron ratio in the Dante Reefs to the South African and Brazilian deposits. It was clear that Dante was slightly unusual in that the titanium to iron ratio was higher. And from the petrology work, it seemed that there was very significant ilmenite, fully liberated ilmenite in the crystal structure of the ores. We've conducted quite a brief test work program, 6 flotation tests on the Dante sample, 2 Davis tube wash. That's a low intensity magnetic separation on a very small sample, 30-gram sample, and then the magnetic separation or magnetic fractionation on a 2-kilogram sample of flotation tails. The results have been quite startling. We're demonstrating the ability to recover most of the copper and platinum and gold to a saleable concentrate, produce as well as that, produce a magnetite concentrate with very high vanadium content and low silica content, making it extremely suitable for processing with conventional vanadium technology to high purity vanadium pentoxide flake. And the magnetic fractionation has achieved very good recoveries of titanium to a 40% ilmenite concentrate. If one looks at the Largo and Chinese experience, they are producing concentrates sort of 10 to 20% TiO₂ by magnetic separation, and then using froth flotation to upgrade. Our mineralogy is better for titanium production, and this first test has produced 40% ilmenite concentrate. Just by magnetic fractionation, there's a very good chance we'll get to 46, which is a saleable grade. And if not magnetic fractionation, we can use the same flotation processes used in China and Brazil to take this to a super grade, a saleable grade ilmenite concentrate. That's an overview of the work, and I've tried to include an overview of the economic significance of the test work. Tom, back to you.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. That's very helpful. Yeah, I noticed throughout this process that a lot of people understand copper and precious metals, and it's quite easy to understand what a saleable concentrate is and get a picture of payabilities on those when we're talking about copper and precious metals. But probably less people understand the vanadium and titanium. And so it's good to go into a bit more detail on those. And it has been a learning experience for me as well, looking at these other peer projects and understanding the processing tools that are used and learning more about the titanium market as well. It's interesting. I did a post on this the other day that the vast majority, over 90% of the titanium market actually is an ilmenite, comes from ilmenite sources. So it is the most important source of titanium globally. And there are companies, I've heard a lot of people say, well, no one's mining and no one's mining ilmenite and selling it. Well, it's not true. There are companies who are commercially producing and selling ilmenite concentrates and using the same tools that we're using so far. And as you pointed out, Evan, the simple processing techniques we've used so far have shown better recoveries using the low-cost tools to a higher grade concentrate than some of those producing companies who are exporting their concentrate. So I think it's an amazing initial result and very exciting. And as I said earlier, clearly positions the project as a potential competitive producer on these three different concentrate products. I think something from talking with you, Evan, as well over the past few weeks, it's interesting with the vanadium that quite often, irrespective of the head grade of a vanadium deposit, it can be very difficult to increase the vanadium concentrate grade even using magnetic separation above 1.5%. Can you tell us why other companies struggle often to upgrade their vanadium to that concentrate, the higher concentrate grade? Because obviously the higher the V₂O₅ concentrate, the cheaper it is to convert it to pentoxide flake. So it becomes extremely important. That concentrate grade is really the key factor in driving vanadium product economics.
Well, in the mineralogy of the vanadium ores, and we're talking pretty well worldwide vanadium ores, the vanadium occurs in the mineralogy as in solid solution in magnetite. And low intensity magnetic separation can easily recover the magnetite from finely ground ore. And if the vanadium content in your particular magnetite is 1.5% V₂O₅, that's where you are. It may be pure magnetite, but it's pure magnetite with 1.5% V₂O₅. Worldwide, the Largo project in Brazil started off with the world's highest grade of vanadium in magnetite. They started with 6% V₂O₅ in magnetite. After 10 years or more of mining, they're now producing magnetite with 3% V₂O₅. It's an outlier. That's the highest grade in the world. In South Africa, in the Bushveld complex, about 30 years ago, Vansa Vanadium mined a magnetite plug in a relatively small ore body and was producing magnetite with 4% V₂O₅. The rest of South Africa's production in the Bushveld igneous complex, the grades are generally over about 1.7% V₂O₅. There was a recent project talking about called Steelport Vanadium, talking about 2.1% V₂O₅ in concentrate, in magnetite concentrate. The Chinese are processing ores with much lower V₂O₅ in the magnetite. It's the V₂O₅ content is set by the mineralogy of your ore. Looking back in Australia, the Windermere project, the grade was below 1.4% V₂O₅ in magnetite. Other recent vanadium prospects in Australia, I don't think any of them have been over 1.5. We've produced 1.8% V₂O₅ from the very first laboratory run. Looking at our mineralogy, it's clear to me that we can get to 2%, maybe 2.1% V₂O₅ in magnetite. Tom, back to you.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Evan. Appreciate that. And the other thing that I found interesting was a lot of people had commentary about titanium hard rock deposits and thinking that, well, you can't get the titanium out. And a lot of commentary I've heard around people talking about titanomagnetite. And certainly through this process, I've seen talking with you a lot of the Chinese and other global examples. One of the reasons that these other projects can struggle is because a lot of the titanium is trapped in the low grade titanomagnetite, and therefore it can't be upgraded to a saleable concentrate without complex smelting and very expensive processing. Now, you mentioned to me that there's an unusually high amount of free ilmenite compared to other deposits you've seen globally at Dante. Do you have any thoughts on why that might be, or is there anything else you've seen like it?
I haven't seen anything quite like this worldwide. Perhaps I haven't looked hard enough. But the large scale operations in China are well away from where we are. The Dante ore is quite unusual. It's got many characteristics which are similar to all the vanadiferous titanomagnetites. When you look at the mineralogy, the range of minerals present, there's pure magnetite, there's a titanomagnetite, and then there are other iron titanium phases which have increasing quantities of ilmenite, of titanium, ending up with, at the far end, the ilmenite, which is an iron titanium oxide. And ilmenite covers a range of evils. In Western Australia, the pure ilmenite concentrate produced by the sands operations runs about 67% TiO₂. In South Australia, in China, and in Brazil, the Largo project, the pure ilmenite contains around 46, 47, less than 50% TiO₂. We've got this full range of minerals, and as the titanium content increases, the magnetic characteristics change. And the magnetite and titanomagnetite can be recovered by low intensity magnetic separation, and progressively higher magnetic field strength is required to recover the more titanium rich products. We've exploited these differences in magnetic susceptibility to recover, on the one first, a magnetite and titanomagnetite vanadium concentrate, and second, an ilmenite concentrate. Tom?
Thanks, Evan. Look, we spent quite a bit of time on vanadium and titanium, but the reason I asked you about those is because I think not as many people understand that side of things as they do the copper and precious metals. But certainly not to overlook the copper and precious metals. These are pretty exceptional results for a first pass. Evan, given your experience in the bushveld with base metal, precious metal bearing polymetallic reefs, what are the similar reefs in the bushveld on the base and precious metal perspective that you can relate to for Dante, and how do these initial sulfide flotation concentrates and recoveries compare to your other experiences on the bigger reefs in the bush, or the other reefs in the bushveld?
Well, in the bushveld, a similar reef would be the similar reefs would be the chromite reefs, except the main composition there is chromite, which is a chrome iron oxide, and they typically contain low levels of base metal sulfides, copper nickel sulfides, and platinum group metals. They're a good worked example because the sulfur content is quite low, the sulfide content is quite low, and what commonly they process to recover chromite, and the platinum group metals and sulfides end up in the chromite tailings. The chromite's often usually just recovered with gravity concentration. The tailings from chromite production, well, the sulfide minerals and the platinum group metals are quite fine. The mineral size is small. There's usually a need to regrind this chromite tailings material to achieve good recoveries of copper, nickel, sulfides, and the platinum group metals. The one reef complex in South Africa that isn't a chromite reef but does contain platinum group metals, copper, and some nickel would be the Stella complex. It's it's in the western side of South Africa and was investigated by Platinum Australia. It's a magnetite reef system uh, with copper as the main mineralogy, similar to Dante, and platinum and palladium values. The Stella complex had slightly higher platinum and palladium contents, and they would have justified mining without vanadium or titanium production. And in fact, there was very little titanium in the Stella complex. Tom, that's pretty well a view of South African deposits.
Yeah, thanks, Evan. Yeah, I kind of was interested to hear more about how the concentrate grade and recovery from the copper and precious metals kind of coming back in here was compared to some of those other worked examples in the Bushveld as well. If you had any more insight on that.
Well, the copper grade we've produced is much higher than typically produced by any of the Bushveld operations on chromite or the Stella complex reefs. We in the Bushveld complex, obviously, there is the Merensky Reef, which was the original source of platinum production, and it contains very low levels of chromite, magnetite, and other things. It's a pyroxenite reef. From the chromite and magnetite reefs, we are well ahead in terms of copper grade. The ore responded well to flotation. We did one test with a regrind of the rougher concentrate, and that more than doubled the final concentrate grade. Regrinding of rougher concentrates is very common in the South African operations and has been a key to them achieving high recoveries and quite high concentrate grades. But this concentrate grade, in terms of copper, is a standout. Good.
Thanks, Evan. Now, Evie, probably going to have questions here, but
I do
have,
actually. I've
okay,
got a couple. Yeah, I do have a couple for you. Just in your CEO comment, you mentioned the potential to complete some major milestones without further material investment. These included the phase 2 optimization work and delineation of a maiden resource. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so people are probably aware that we undertook a huge amount of work last year. We invested a lot of time and money operationally in drilling the the Reef 1 and Reef 2 discoveries out. And we did over 17,000 meters of RC and diamond drilling over, if we talk about the tighter spacing drilling, we're talking about probably 10 to 12 kilometers of strike. The discoveries are actually larger than that, but that's the strike we're focusing on at the moment and progressing toward a resource is around 10 kilometers of strike initially. And what the result of having undertaken so much work last year has positioned us with this year is that because we have so much data, so much sample, we're in a very good position to be able to undertake our optimization metallurgical test work and reporting of delineating a maiden resource without any further material or large major investment. And as I said, that is a product of the work undertaken last year. So we're really positioned to reap the rewards of our investment last year and the large programs that we undertook. And we believe we're going to get value for that this year without further material investment. So we will be looking to undertake, we have already started the review of a potential maiden resource, and we'll look forward to having an update on that soon. And we have already started our phase 2 optimization test work.
Well, that's great. That actually answers another question that came through during today's session. So can you tell us a little bit more about, can you elaborate a little bit more about what's next for the Dante project other than what you've just covered?
Yeah, absolutely. Just to go back and summarize, I suppose the key point of that is that we have a couple of major milestones that we can deliver on for a very low cost over the coming months. And yeah, we're kind of getting stuck into it already. But what to expect for the Dante project moving forward? Well, really it is, we've got this metallurgical result. We've shown we can make 3 high quality, commercially attractive concentrate products out of the bulk of the in situ value that is in that rock. It's a combination of copper, precious metals, titanium, and vanadium. And showing that we can produce those 3 concentrates, coupled with the fact that it is a large discovery, highlights the economic potential. And now it's for us to continue to investigate that economic potential, progressing towards scoping study. And a key part of that is first was the phase 1. The first part was systematically drilling out the discovery, and proving continuity and scale. The second part was undertaking the phase 1 metallurgical work and showing we can make commercially attractive concentrates using low-cost techniques in line with specs of concentrate or products traded globally, which we've done. And now the phase 2 work and the resource work are the next 2 key milestones in one, optimizing the concentrate recoveries and grades across the 3 different commodity classes, I suppose you could call them, the copper, precious metal sulfide, the vanadium, and the titanium products. And then delineating the initial resource so people can have a better understanding of, I suppose, the size and grade of the initial resource. And then following on from that, we'd be looking to use that information to progress into a scoping study. But on top of that, we know that we've only drilled out a very, I suppose, small portion of the overall Dante Reefs. If you look at the outcrop and you map the reefs which are exposed at surface, we've only done kind of medium resolution drilling over about 10 kilometers of what is probably over 80 kilometers of strike on the project. And that doesn't include the recently acquired or the option taken out on the HRM ground, where the geology is all undercover, and the magnetics suggests to us that reefs extend into that ground as well. So we could be looking at potentially hundreds of kilometers of reef material, which has the potential to have similar properties to what we've discovered at Reef 1 and Reef 2 so far, which opens potential for an absolutely enormous potential resource. So we will be looking to pursue the exploration upside as well as delineating an initial resource on what we've drilled out so far, and hoping to grow the discovery also. As a product of the delineation of a maiden resource, depending on the classification of that resource, we may also look to undertake some upgrading drilling throughout the initial resource as well. And given the relatively simple nature of the geology and the mineralization, we're in a lucky position where resource upgrade work and resource definition work is conceptually very simple compared to other polymetallic or other ore deposit styles around the world. This is like a coal seam, I suppose, in terms of geometry. It means that spacing of drilling and density of drilling, really high density and high space, close space drilling is not necessarily required to increase your resource to a high level of confidence. And that is a key advantage that this deposit has, and something that we'll be leveraging throughout the process. And we have engaged experts in the field, Pivot Mining from South Africa, who have worked on many of the different reef deposits around the world to undertake that independent assessment of the initial resource as well. So, we've got the right people working on this, and yeah, we're looking forward to going through to the next steps.
That's great. Just in terms of news flow and what are some of the near-term news flow items investors can expect to see over the coming, I don't know, can you give us a time frame?
Yeah, weeks and months, I suppose. What we can really hope to see is there's some more drill results, final drill results to come out from Reef 2. The phase 2 optimization work, because we've got a good handle on the metallurgy now, and we've only recently received our mineralogy. So most of the initial metallurgical work that was undertaken was done so without mineralogy. The mineralogy took much longer to come through than we'd hoped. So we've only received that now, and that is a key component in being able to optimize the flow sheet here. And because we've got that, we've already got some clear ideas about how we're going to undertake that optimization. So the summary of that is we don't expect it's going to take long to be able to have an update on optimization on some or all of the concentrates. It may be progressive updates on different concentrate products and the optimization of those over time. But certainly the first update would not be expected to be too far in the future. And for the potential maiden resource, I can't put an exact timeline on that, but we won't be holding back. And as I said, we've got a lot of data, and we're at work on it at the moment. So yeah, we would anticipate it wouldn't be too far off in the future.
Okay, that's great. That sounds like some real key catalysts there to hopefully see some share price appreciation for our investors, which probably covers the question that just came through as you were talking. Did anyone else have any further questions while we're here? Doesn't look like it. I think that's a wrap. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to add?
I think I'd just make one final point that, where we are in the West Musgrave is an excellent mining location. There are 2 existing mining framework agreements there. The local Ngundarra people are very supportive of mining and have approved, there's already a mine partially in the process of being built out there, only 15 k's from us, and a large one too. So it's a great place to be looking at progressing a resource asset for that reason, because of the relationship there and the existing mining framework agreements and the, I suppose, mining friendly jurisdiction proven by those projects going ahead. So you've got a big scale potential resource there with a range of high value potential products, with good processing and low cost potential processing to produce those products. I think it's a really great combination of features for developing a potential long mine life resource, because out in this area, you really do want the potential resource to be long mine life, and we think that the Dante Reef certainly has the potential to be that in what we have discovered so far, but also to extend that in what we believe is out there as upside from further drilling. And we really haven't even started looking at that upside yet. So that's something that we can really look forward to over time on this project as well.
Thanks, Thomas. Just one more that's just come through now. The Australian government subsidised a certain area which was a particular spot of interest. Has there been any updates on that timeline for drilling?
Sorry, Abby, I don't understand the question.
Apologies. So one came through. And I'm not sure if it's right or not. The Australian government subsidised a certain area which was a particular spot of interest. Has there been any updates on that timeline of drilling?
Subsidised a specific area.
Did we get any granting?
We got
granting. Yeah.
Yes, yeah. We received ADI funding of up to $220,000 for deep diamond drilling at Cronus. We have completed the first hole and released the results for those. And we also have received an Accelerated Discovery Initiative grant for, sorry, EIS, EIS grant, mixing up different states here, for conducting geophysics, airborne geophysics over the Dante project, which has not been undertaken at this stage.
Okay.
And we have received part of the refund already for that initial drilling, and we have some more that we can cash in if we choose to continue drilling while that grant period is still open.
Okay, great. So there is another. So Eric Samuel would like to ask you a question. So I'm just going to let him in. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay, Eric, shoot. Your microphone is off. Yep.
I think you can hear me. I'm not sure. Thomas 11, thanks for the overview. Great result, Thomas. Thomas, obviously Chalice had some MET results as well, sort of a few weeks ago. Maybe if you can give high level sort of the comparisons here as well. Sort of similar, they've got a copper nickel PGM deposit. So maybe high level, could you maybe give an outline of the differences?
Yeah, sure. You really put me on the spot here. If we look back at a lot of people do compare the Dante Reefs to the Chalice and Julimar on the copper and precious metals basis. Obviously, the difference is that there's a huge amount of high-grade vanadium and titanium in this deposit as well. So we're producing 3 concentrates, being a copper precious metal, a vanadium and a titanium concentrate. Chalice typically, and if you look at their initial metallurgy from 2021 and then the recent update in the optimization of their flow sheet, they are producing essentially a copper precious metal and a nickel dominant concentrate. So two concentrate products from that resource. Going back to just off my memory on their initial metallurgical results, that was optimized, admittedly much further. It was much more optimized than our initial preliminary results, in that I think they'd done more variation test work on those before they put their concentrates out. Certainly, our copper grade in concentrate is higher than what Chalice reported from Julimar in the initial work. And I believe the initial copper concentrate reported here from Terra, Dante, is also a higher grade than that reported by Chalice in their recent metallurgical update as well. So, yeah, on a peer comparison basis, looking at the copper, these results are excellent. Very nice high-grade copper. We know that we can produce an even higher-grade copper concentrate based on some of the work as well. So we're interested in looking at that. Obviously, Chalice or Julimar has a higher amount of precious metals, so they would have had higher PGM grades in concentrate, just simply due to the much higher grade nature of the sample that they used on a precious metal basis. Yeah, but overall, a very good comparison, and clearly a great start for us, and an excellent copper grade in the concentrate comparably.
Yeah, thank you, Thomas.
Thanks, Eric.
I think that's it. Thank you very much, guys. Looking forward to the results some further results, and hopefully, yeah, we'll see those soon.
Thanks, Evie.
And thanks everybody and thanks everyone for joining us today.
Thanks, Evie.
Thanks everyone. Appreciate you taking the time. Thanks, Evan.
Cheers. Tom.